Now, on Monday, we bring on the money guests, and this guy's with us all the time. He's one of my good friends. Chris Markowski joins us right now. He's the host of the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show. He's also the president of Markowski Investments. Hey, Chris, we were talking about it before coming on here. You got 500 down one day, 700 down, 400 up another day. This volatility, even for me, it's hard to keep track of. What's happening here?
That's why I don't. Whenever this stuff happens, you kind of take a step back and you let the crazies have at it to some degree. And John, I'm sure you watched, some of the explanations that all these mental midgets on all these business programs try to give out there. And this one's trading options this way, and it's the Robin Hood guys doing this over here. And come on. Markets will get going in one direction. Momentum will push it in one direction. A story will go here, there, and everywhere. Sometimes, people walk away. Especially you get this towards like we had coming into Labor Day. There's not as much liquidity that's out there. You're going to see some of these wild swings. But you also have to ask yourself as well and say, where have we come from? What are these companies actually worth? I mean, sometimes you take a look at Tesla, and if it wasn't for carbon credits, for crying out loud, the thing would be out of business. I mean, it's crazy to me sometimes.
Yeah, I think someone said to me, I'm not going to be quoted, but somebody told me that Tesla could sell 10,000 cars a day for the next 10 years, and they couldn't be profitable.
Well, this is the difference, John. Back in the 90s, our much younger years, we could take a look at a prospectus. Company would go public. We'd see what its cash burn rate was going to be, and we'd be like, almost you could set your watch by it when the company was going to go under.
Right.
Nowadays, they get incubators and all these venture capital people. And what Wall Street has managed to do is they've managed to create brands where the object is to create this brand and get the general public to buy into it so they can get out of all of their shares. It's a much longer pump and dump scheme than was happening
what we were used to in the 90s. But,
yeah.
Look, I have a lot of respect for Elon Musk. I don't think he's in it as a pump and dump scheme, but I know what you mean. You don't see all the debt because they did all these exotic, pre-IPO fundraisers and stuff like that. But just net, then I don't believe they're making money under real accounting. And I want to switch gears a little bit to some other technology, TikTok. It seems like Microsoft, I guess, was bounced out of the bidding. They're saying Oracle's going to come in. But isn't it sad that we only have one company that can make a piece of technology? Where's the U.S. innovation on this stuff, Chris?
Well, I still don't even understand what the innovation is with TikTok. I mean, you got to think about where we are as a society. And what are we coming up with? New means of getting kids' attention to be glued to something to try to sell them things? Is that all we're going to do here in the United States? I was cracking a joke with my wife the other day. I said the greatest invention over the past 10 years has been yoga pants. Other than that, I mean, what have we come up with? It's just one social media thing after another social media thing. I said, what do these companies actually do? They just try and find ways to keep eyeballs attached to sell people stuff. Where is that innovation? Apple's got their conference tomorrow. When was the last time that Apple blew you away with something? I can't remember.
Well, every time I go to the Smart Bar, I'm blown away by the prices. that I'm blown away by. But no, you're right. They haven't given us any. Oh, now you got 3 camera lenses on your phone instead of 1. But other than that, I'm with you on that. And you know what? You're right. Is this all? We need to find ways to get our kids' attention these days because they grew up on phones. I can't get my son's attention without threatening him.
Well, you think about this for a second. There was actually, I'm plugging somebody else's movie. I saw this on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. It's almost like a horror movie, but it's a documentary of what these companies do and how they get kids dragged into it. The reality is that youth suicides have gone up almost 60% over the past 10 years. And think about it. What has been the innovation over the past 10 years? There's just new means of social media. You start off with Facebook, you move on to Instagram and TikTok and Snap and all of these other things out there that get kids grabbed in and competing with each other on some sort of weird level. You would think with the type of technology that we have, we'd be having the flying cars by now, and we're just not there.
No, I'm with you. And, you left something out when you talk about what's been happening to these kids. This game, Fortnite,
yeah.
this game was the gameology, they call it, was basically created by a bunch of world-renowned psychologists. And the game actually works on the same receptors, the dopamine receptors, that cause drug addicts to want more drugs because they need the next dosage. And in Fortnite, you can never win. I don't know if your kid's a Fortnite age, but you can never win. There's no end to the game. Super Mario doesn't get the princess at the end. You just keep putting in more money to get to another level. And the whole game is basically mentally programming these kids, take mom's credit card and buy more skins so you can play more. And they just want the rush. It's really like this, it's artificially stimulating the same receptors in the brain. And I think I see it with my kid, I see it with my friends, it's crazy.
It's the same thing adults do when they post various different things up on Facebook, whatever it may be. They want the likes. They want, oh, you look so beautiful. OMG, you're great. You're fantastic. It's all these content. It's the same thing that adults get into as well. Thank God, no. My kids, they beat each other with lacrosse sticks, and they don't. They're off the video games.
All right, I like that. I'm going to suggest that to my son. Maybe him and his friend want to duel with lacrosse sticks. That might be a good alternative. But yeah, the funny thing is, my son got so aggravated at the game that he threw the controller at it and smashed the screen on the TV. So I said, you know what that means, pal, right? Yeah, you ain't going to be playing your game for a while until you come up with some Skadolskis to buy a new TV because you're right.
There you go. Time to get a job. Got to buy one yourself now.
Yeah. We might have. You may see him sweeping up here on Liquid Lunch soon. But anything you're talking to your folks over at Markowski Investments that people could be looking at to kind of non-correlated ways that people can kind of escape the fear of volatility or anything like that you're looking at?
Well, we're big at rotating assets. You're doing well in something. That's fantastic. That's great. But the reality is it's going to come back down to earth at some point in time. Everything has an intrinsic value. You don't have to sell. We all get to use Apple. We've mentioned Apple before. We all agree that they've got a large market. They've got various different avenues of business. If that position in your portfolio becomes oversized, guess what? Take some profits off the table, rotate into other asset classes. And then, when Apple comes back down, maybe you can buy back in again. But you never, this, John, you never go poor taking profits.
No, I say this all the time to a lot of my friends. Like, I'm up 20 points on this sucker. I say, hit the bid. Yeah, take the lump sum. Pay the taxes and put it in the bank. You'll always be another day for something else. But people get married to this stuff. You said something really important in there, but that I'd like all of our viewers to hear from Chris. He's one of the best experts out there. He's the president of Markowski Investments. I always tell people, if you don't know anything at all, okay, be educated, okay, be diversified, and do not be concentrated. And that's to me, those are the good rules where you can't get hurt. And people get married to these things. Ooh, I bought some more Tesla. Ooh, I bought some more Amazon. Concentration, to me, is always the biggest fear because it kills your diversification.
It was a great word today. It was Andy Kessler in a Wall Street Journal op-ed. His word for it was momos. It's a momentum people. They're called momos. They just keep following the momentum, and as it builds upon itself, and they get sucked in, and they never get out. I mean, Enron was a scam of a company, but guess what? If you had taken profits along the way, you could have made money on the darn thing. It's the people that ride it all the way back down to zero that the ones that end up getting hurt.
It's funny that the Wall Street Journal writer would use a term like momos, talk about momentum, because I use that term all the time talking about the mayor and the governor here in New York. They are the biggest momos around, if you ask me. In our last minute, Joe Biden's talking about whacking his capital gains tax way back up. What do you think about his tax plan?
I don't know how much he's going to get through. Again, the capital gains taxing is it's patently absurd when you want to have people invest. I don't know if you remember this. It was a real striking moment back when Hillary Clinton was debating Barack Obama, and he was posed with the question because he wanted to raise capital gains taxes. And they actually asked him, they said, hey, why are you going to do that? When Clinton lowered capital gains, it had increased revenue to the Treasury. And Obama's response, and this is what really scared me about the guy, was, oh, I'm doing it in the interest of fairness. So if you're just raising taxes to knock people down, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
As Joe would say. Come on,
man. Scary
man.
stuff. Hey, if you guys need any advice, education, awareness, you reach out to Markowski Investments. Chris Markowski's a great friend of the show, and he's also the Watchdog on Wall Street. You can hear him on his podcast all the time. Chris, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.